Taurus, the pressure you've been pretending not to feel finally becomes impossible to ignore this week. You've been carrying more responsibility than most people realize. Quietly, consistently, without complaint. But Cancer season shifts your emotional bandwidth, and suddenly the things you normally tolerate begin feeling heavier, louder, and more personal. You may notice this first through communication problems, delays, passive-aggressive behavior, emotional misunderstandings. Someone may expect you to emotionally compensate for their inconsistency while offering very little clarity in return, and your patience is running out. Mars remains in your sign, which increases determination but also intensifies irritation when people waste your time or destabilize your routines. You are not in the mood for emotional games this week. You want honesty, simplicity, directness. The deeper story, though, begins with Chiron entering Taurus. This is not a small transit. Over time, it begins exposing wounds connected to identity, self-worth, physical security, aging, survival, and the exhausting pressure of always appearing stable for everyone else. This week gives you the first glimpse of where you've been surviving instead of truly living. A realization arrives around midweek that changes your emotional perspective. You may suddenly understand that you've outgrown an old coping mechanism, relationship pattern, or emotional role you've carried for years. Something familiar no longer feels safe simply because it's familiar. That realization may initially feel destabilizing, but it's actually liberation beginning. Venus in Leo also activates themes around home, family, memory, and emotional recognition. Some of you may reconnect with relatives, old friends, or unfinished emotional situations. Others may feel an intense desire to redesign your physical space because your environment no longer reflects who you are becoming. Pay attention to exhaustion levels this week. Your body is speaking very honestly now. If you push past emotional fatigue long enough, it eventually becomes physical fatigue. By the weekend, you begin reclaiming emotional authority. Not through confrontation, through boundaries, through choosing where your energy goes, through refusing to carry emotional labor that was never yours in the first place. You are entering a season where your peace becomes more valuable than proving your loyalty, and that changes everything. Taurus, your tarot card is the Page of Swords. Your intuition sharpens dramatically this week. You are observing details other people assume you missed, and your ability to detect inconsistency becomes unusually precise now. The Page of Swords warns against reacting too quickly emotionally, though. Gather information first. Let patterns reveal themselves naturally. A conversation or message around midweek may expose more truth than expected. This card also favors learning, planning, and quietly preparing for change before announcing it publicly. Not everyone needs immediate access to your process while you're figuring things out internally.
Taurus, you get hexagram 18, mountain over wind. Work on what has been spoiled. This week centers around repair. Not superficial repair, but honest recognition of what has quietly deteriorated over time. A pattern, relationship, habit, or emotional structure can no longer continue unchanged. The hexagram warns against avoidance disguised as patience. Something requires direct attention now, before resentment hardens permanently. Still, this is not a destructive symbol. It carries healing potential through accountability. Once truth is acknowledged clearly, restoration becomes possible. But first, denial must end.
Taurus, your rune is Berkano. Berkano represents renewal, emotional healing, protection, and gradual growth after instability. Something softer is trying to emerge in your life now, but it requires patience and emotional honesty to fully develop. This rune favors rest, recovery, home energy, and rebuilding trust slowly instead of forcing rapid transformation. You may feel unusually protective of your peace this week. Honor that instinct. Growth happening quietly now may become much more significant later than it first appears.
This week asked you to stop chasing certainty and start listening to what your emotions already knew quietly underneath the surface. Some connections deepened, others revealed fractures that can no longer be ignored. But clarity is not cruelty. Sometimes, clarity is the beginning of peace. Before you go, tell me in the comments, what sign do you watch besides your sun sign, rising, moon, or Venus? And if this reading helped you understand your week more clearly, subscribe, like the video, and turn on the bell so you don't miss next week's messages. And remember to watch your rising sign too. Very often, that's where the deeper emotional story is unfolding.